I like all of Taiwan. It's safe, it's orderly, food is great, people are friendly. This is a society that's open and welcoming and curious and creative. Taiwan is stronger than anyone else in the world in terms of the manufacture of logic chips.
How do you think Taiwan should balance its relations with China and United States?
I think the United States would like to be and views itself as a primary supporter and partner and friend of Taiwan. And I hope that Taiwan views us in the same way. So we have about 600 employees, a third of them are Americans, 2/3 are here from Taiwan. Everyone works really well together. I am amazed every day at how skilled and talented the team is. We're going to do our award ceremony this afternoon, and just reading through the award citations, everyone works so hard. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with people. And then Taiwan itself is just amazing.
Is the war inevitable? That's why we are so rushed in getting this so much arms?
没有听过 AIT 这个机构
AIT 就是 America in Taiwan 啊，
不知道哎，我知道 AIT 就是美国在台协会嘛，对，我还知道 ATN，
知道这个机构在做什么？
不知道哎，
大概是处理两岸事务的吧。
主要背后是美国商会啦，美国的在台的大使馆，
他是美国的 CIA 啊。
你知道现任的 AIT 处长是谁？
孙晓雅
孙晓雅，
我知道面孔，对，因为常常看到跟出席一些活动跟蔡英文同台这样子。
目前台美关系你觉得是友善的吗？
我觉得应该算友善吧，因为其实在不论是媒体或之前疫情的时候，其实在媒体上面其实就是孙晓雅都有帮台湾争取，然后甚至是有一些友善的发声。
媒体上是说台美关系现在是前所未有的好啦。那可是我必须讲，台湾其实就是在国际上的一个棋子嘛。
我觉得应该是表面上的友好，但是如果真的发生战争的话，他应该会愿意协助我们，但应该不会真的加入战场。
台美关系、政府关系好像不错，可是那个民间的关系呢，就有不同的看法。
Indeed, we should learn more about AIT and the work it has been doing over the years. Therefore, we have a special guest for you today, Director Sandra Acker, Director of the American Institute in Taiwan. Welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you here.
I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay. AIT, now we know the exact name. Although over 40 years, don't you find the name still confusing?
You know, I don't think it's that confusing. I mean, of course, I worked here 30 years ago, and it was 美国在台协会 then, in a different, the old building. So I think, you know, it's been a long enough time that people know who we are.
Okay, probably your being here will explain more about the function and the role of AIT. And we're talking over a lot of issues that people here are interested in the Taiwan-US relations. But food is always our main theme of this program.
Excellent.
Okay. So we have a Chef Lau. Okay. The first meal of today is 小笼包.
Excellent.
Do you like that?
I do like 小笼包.
Okay, here we have.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
So what's on the inside?
Pork.
Pork. Excellent.
Yeah. Is it good?
Oh, that's very good.
Okay. So,
thank you.
We know you are very skillful in using your chopstick. That's the purpose of this serving 小笼包. Hey, you've been here, the first time you served here over 30 years ago, right?
That's right.
Okay, that's your first
Well,
mission. Is
maybe not over 30 years. Let's just say 30 years.
30 years.
You make me seem old.
Okay. Oh, right. You look young. You look young. Don't worry about that. But I've been wondering, is that your first assignment as a Foreign Service Office?
Yes.
Okay. They chose you, or you choose to come to Taiwan?
So the way our system works. So I took the Foreign Service exam while I was in college.
Okay.
I got my congratulations, you're hired letter about a week before I graduated. I went into training, and so that was 1991. I went into training that summer in August. I was in training for a little bit less than a year. And in, say, July of 1992, I came to Taiwan for the first time. So in our system, you make a list of where you'd like to go, and then human resources tells you where you're going to go.
Okay, you fill out your preference.
You fill out your preferences.
Okay.
But for me, it was very simple because I had studied Mandarin Chinese at university and had wanted to do a junior year abroad, but my junior year was 1989, and of course the Tiananmen Square incident happened in Beijing.
All right.
All of the mainland China programs were canceled. So I did not do a junior year. I'd never lived in a Mandarin speaking place before. So there were, I think, 2 slots for my training class in Taiwan, and I put them both first.
Okay, that's a great choice. I mean, do you remember what was like back then?
Absolutely.
Your impression about Taiwan?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us.
So actually, when I first came off the plane, I remember thinking it was the longest flight I'd ever been on my life.
Okay.
It took like 30 hours.
My.
It was a long flight. People could still smoke on the plane. It was that long ago.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yes, and I stepped off the plane at the Taoyuan airport, and the first thing I thought was, I've gotten on the wrong plane and I've gone home to Tampa. Because Tampa, Florida in the summer and northern Taiwan in the summer, 有热有闷. It's not nice weather. And you get hit with that wall of wet heat.
You want to get away from that. But
well, and
I
remember thinking, oh, I can live here. Like, this is not so different. It feels just like home. And I think coming back 30 years later, a lot of things are still recognizably the same, particularly down by the old AIT. Although the Da'an Forest Park, I remember when it was just sticks. There was nothing there. And they're
just starting to build it.
So it was like a construction site. It had metal walls all around it. There were no trees.
No.
And now, I'm older than the trees. It's just
they grow so well, you know. They want to welcome you back.
That would be great.
Okay. So, what's the significant change you have witnessed over the years besides the Diamond Park and our society, our people? Especially, I want to ask you about how have we changed our traffic? Have we improved our traffic?
So, I think the traffic has definitely improved from 92 to 94. At that point, I guess the Taipei city government was building the first MRT line.
Okay.
So you had the traffic, plus you had construction and all the major roads. So the traffic was really bad, and there was a lot of jaywalking. I've noticed now that people line up to get on the bus instead of just like fighting to get through the door. And people wait for the little green man to tell them to walk across the street. So it's much safer for a pedestrian than it was before. And things like the high-speed rail and the highways make it much easier to move around Taiwan. It's safe, it's orderly, the weather is kind of dismal.
Still the weather.
But the food is great, people are friendly, it's an open society. People are interested in foreigners. In a lot of places, people are very reluctant to engage with foreigners for one reason or another. But here, this is a society that's open and welcoming and curious and creative.
And how do you evaluate the change over the time of the Taiwan-US relations?
Well, I think one of the people at the trailer said, the media says the relationship is the best that it's ever been. I think that's true. I think there is a lot of respect in the United States for Taiwan's democratic transition. So when I was here in the early 90s, that transition was still underway. It's now thoroughly in place. Taiwan has really strong democratic institutions. It administers free and fair elections. We are 100% confident, no matter what the question is, that voters are asked to vote on. The referenda a few years ago, local government elections last year, the island-wide elections next year, that the will of the people will be clearly and accurately represented in the polls. And that's really good. I also think that when we look at Taiwan, we really see a society that manages to bring together high tech and creativity which is not usually, I think, in places and even in the United States, you feel that you can do one or the other. You are either humanities or STEM. You are either, hard sciences or creativity, and Taiwan blends the two, which is great.
But compared to the experience 30 years ago, now you are more responsibilities on your shoulder. What have been the biggest achievements at AIT, you think, after you took over?
My Mandarin is not really good. I prefer watching things on YouTube because then I can slow it down a little bit so that...
So you watch that?
I do.
Okay.
We are really, really strong on design. And then they contract the manufacturer here in Taiwan. And Taiwan is stronger than anyone else in the world in terms of the manufacture of logic chips.
TSMC. Recently, they decided to move one of their manufacturing facilities to Arizona. Yeah. Is there any influence from the United States government to that decision of moving factories from here to the United States? What have been the biggest achievements at AIT, you think, after you took over?
So, we have been working really hard on a couple of different priorities.
Okay.
So our top priority is working with our partners here in Taiwan under the guidance of the Taiwan Relations Act and our other kind of governing principles to ensure that Taiwan has an ability to defend itself. And I think we have been working steadily towards that over time. We also work a lot on supply chains. So Taiwan is a really important part of resilient global supply chains. And that means we encourage Taiwanese investment in the United States. We support American investment here in Taiwan. Two-way trade is really strong, both in goods and services. Taiwan is our 9th largest trading partner, which is a really high level for a place with only 23, 24 million people. It's also our 6th largest market for agricultural products, like those lovely potatoes.
Okay, your role as a director, I want to know, how do you listen to the authentic opinions and the voice of Taiwanese people? Do you travel a lot, or do you mingle with them? Where do you get information?
So I get information from lots of different ways. I do watch sort of media. We look at polling. I try to travel. My goal is to
watch our local TV, like the political debate show?
My Mandarin is not really good. I actually prefer...
You can ask people to translate that too.
Well, I prefer watching things on YouTube because then I can slow it down a little bit. So you
watch that?
I do.
Okay. Tell me your impression.
So my impression is it's a lively debate.
Okay.
It's energetic. People speak their mind. People aren't afraid to question authority. They're not afraid to question assumptions. And I think that's great because it means you have an engaged and vibrant community that's interested in the things that are happening around them.
And will that program affect your understanding of Taiwanese opinion? Are they playing any important roles in your report filed back to the States?
Oh, absolutely. So we look at polling, we look at questions, So last year, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there were a lot of polls about Taiwan's relationship with the United States. What does Taiwan feel about itself? We not only reported the poll data back to Washington, but we also went out and we talked to people. Now, what does this mean? What actual question was that? So when the poll says, 40% of people think that the United States won't support Taiwan, what was the underlying question in Mandarin? Because sometimes that English translation is not exactly right. And a lot of talking to people, when I visit other cities, I meet with university professors, I meet with graduate students, I meet with students, with members of the local media, and just normal people. The business community has a lot of opinions on everything. So, yeah.
You seem quite busy.
I am quite busy.
Okay, we have this first dish, right?
Oh, it's like a martini.
Yeah. This is a mashed potato, right?
Yes.
And the potatoes from the United States. Okay.
Excellent.
Enjoy it.
Okay.
Do you like potatoes?
I do like potatoes.
Okay, great. Talking about American agricultural products, do they have a good market here?
Taiwan is our 6th largest market for U.S. agricultural goods. And so that's everything from kind of staple grains, staple foods, things like wheat and soybeans. It's also beef, which is extraordinarily popular here.
We're gonna have beef.
Excellent. But also things like specialty sauces, pet food is actually very popular here. Pet food.
But talking about besides agricultural products, of course, Taiwan is some people call Taiwan is the world capital of computer chips. We have a great semiconductor industry, and I remember you have said that in the semiconductor field, Taiwan and the U.S. is a perfect partner. Okay, can you tell us how that partnership works?
Sure. So the United States, at this point, doesn't manufacture that many chips, but we are really, really strong on design. And we have a bunch of companies that are fabless chip companies. So they design the chip, they design the product that the chip goes into, and then they contract the manufacturer here in Taiwan for logic chips. And Taiwan, although Taiwan does do research and design, it is stronger than anyone else in the world in terms of the manufacture of logic chips. So that makes for a really good complementary relationship between the US and Taiwan. And if you look at our trade numbers, you'll see that in sort of chips and integrated circuits, the trade goes back and forth, and that represents the fact that ideas and designs will move from the United States to Taiwan. It'll get worked on here, it'll move back to the United States. And so it's a back and forth, very complementary relationship.
Okay, talking about chips, so TSMC is always a hot topic here.
Yes.
Okay, recently they decided to move one of their manufacturing facilities to Arizona. Yeah. What I want to know is there any influence from the United States government or official organization to influence to that decision of moving factories from here to the United States?
So the United States government has moved late into the investment incentive game.
Okay.
So globally, many places around the world compete for foreign direct investment. The United States has been the world's top destination for foreign direct investment for at least a decade. And we have recently really started to try and get into the incentive competition with competing with places like Germany and South Korea and Japan for these sort of big keystone industries like TSMC's fab outside Phoenix. So yes, there are government incentives, but they're really new compared to what other places like those 3 countries I mentioned have been doing now for decades.
So some people wondering that does that symbolize a lack of a confidence in Taiwan's security?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. And in fact, those incentives are so the U.S. Congress passed something a couple of years ago called the Chips and Science Act. Those incentives are source neutral. So those incentives go to any new semiconductor investment in the United States, whether it's an American company, a Japanese company, a Korean company, one from Taiwan, one from Europe. So it's not designed to move Taiwan industry to the US. It's designed to move the very best of global chips industry to the United States. And Taiwan is in that very best category.
You expect that the semiconductor industry in Taiwan to continue to flourish?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. That's a relief. People worry. And how about the trade agreement? Recently, we read, we heard from President Tsai and from your government, you recently announced it's going to have this complete of the what called 21st century trade initiative between the United States and Taiwan. What benefits can we get from that?
So that discussion is the US-Taiwan initiative on 21st century trade is designed to set a bunch of high standard disciplines on things like trade facilitation, support for small and medium businesses, domestic services regulations. Those are the topics that they have finished talking about now, and we are hoping they are going to sign sometime soon.
Do you know the date?
I do not know the date.
Okay. So let's make it a secret.
So we'll wait and see.
Okay.
So I can use one of my few Chengyus, which is 我们应该拭目以待.
Great.
Yes.
拭目以待.
So I hope it's coming pretty soon. Knock on wood.
A lot of people want to have this bilateral trade agreements signed between the two countries. How far away from that?
So the issue with a bilateral trade agreement is not a Taiwan issue, it's a US Congress issue.
Okay.
So any trade agreement would have to get support from a supermajority in the Senate. And as you have probably seen from ongoing news about the US Congress, the Senate is split almost 50-50. So getting 60 senators to agree to anything is just really hard.
So you are working with our government to accomplish that?
So right now we're focused on the
initiative,
the 21st Century Initiative, which provides a lot of building blocks that are useful and will help sort of make trade easier for producers both in the United States and in Taiwan. But at this point, that discussion does not include sort of binding tariff measures.
Okay. How about our representation in the world? I mean, over the pandemic era, the lack of representation of Taiwan in the World Organization is exposed. People talk about it. We send out people to WHA. We were turned down. I mean, they refuse a lot of things. And you also mentioned, I remember, that you support meaningful representation in World Organization. Can you share with us the progress in that?
I was at a night market and the two proprietors of the stand were arguing. I could hear them. One of them was like, "That is the AIT lady." And the other was like, "No, why would the AIT lady be here?" And the one came up to me and said, "Are you the AIT lady?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Can I take a picture?" And so we took some selfies, and the friend or the other co-owner came running over and was like, "Can I be in the picture too?"
Why Americans are so much engaged in selling arms to Taiwan?
Look at the challenge. The PRC is very close.
Is the war inevitable? That's why we are so rushed in getting so much arms? You support meaningful representation in World Organization. Can you share with us the progress in that?
So we have been working really hard on it. I think there's some places where Taiwan is a full member. So APEC, I worked with let's see if I can actually speak English here. I worked with the representatives.
Another relief for me.
I worked with the representatives from Taiwan. They're full members, just like the United States. So is Hong Kong, so is the PRC, along with Japan and South Korea and others. And so Taiwan there, sits at the table and has a full role. Then there are other organizations where Taiwan is an observer or participates in workshops or engagements without being a full member. And the United States is just working really hard to support Taiwan's meaningful participation sort of across that spectrum. And because we think it's important that the world benefits from the expertise that Taiwan has. I mean, we talked earlier about Taiwan being sort of a key node in semiconductor supply chains. Taiwan has a lot of cutting edge industries. Taiwan has a first-rate medical system and public health system. And it really has been a shame that Taiwan has not been able, during the pandemic, where Taiwan dealt with pandemic sort of prevention measures so very, very well, wasn't able to share that expertise through the formal WHO, WHA process.
Okay, we have another dish coming?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Oh, this is really good.
How's your usual diet? I mean,
so man, I struggle with my diet because the food here is so good. So I have to go exercise, 4 or 5 times a week so that I can eat.
You're a cyclist, right?
I am a cyclist.
Okay. Okay. Where do you go for your exercise? Gym?
I do go to the gym a couple times a week. I try to get out and ride my bike or ride one of the yo bikes, which I think are the most convenient thing ever, as often as I can.
I think a lot of people will notice your presence, right?
I think people know. Well, although when I have a helmet on, I don't necessarily look like myself.
Okay.
Right.
But does this visibility help your work here?
It does.
Okay.
I think one of the things that I have really tried to do is to be visible, to be approachable. So when I go to the grocery store or I'm just sort of out and about on the weekend, people walk up to me at street corners and are like, "Are you the AIT lady?"
Not ATM lady.
Not ATM lady. No, and in fact, I will say the best thing was I was at a night market with my husband and my son.
Okay.
And we were there and we were eating our food, and the 2 proprietors of the stand were arguing. I could hear them. One of them was like, "That is the AIT lady." And the other was like, "No, why would the AIT lady be here?" And the other was, "I'm going to go ask her." And the first guy was like, "I am having nothing to do with this," and he like went away.
Was embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. And the one came up to me and said, "Are you the AIT lady?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Can I take a picture?" And so we took some selfies, and the friend or the other co-owner came running over and was like, "Can I be in the picture too?"
That tells you your popularity here. You know, one of my staff, they prepare a question. I hate to raise, but I have to raise it. They want to know, since you've been traveling so much, you have been so exposed to the local people here. Was there any awkward questions that you came across or that really embarrassed you? Is there any story of that?
No, actually, no one has really asked me an awkward or embarrassing questions. Every now and then I get asked a question that's hard to answer.
Okay.
Or that I can't answer.
Tell me why.
So people will ask questions, hypotheticals about the future. What if this, that, or the other? And they train you from the very beginning in diplomacy that you never respond to hypotheticals.
Okay, I was about to ask one.
So we're very good at saying, I don't really engage in, I can't really answer a hypothetical like that.
Did they tell that you are avoiding the question?
Well, actually, it's really funny. Every now and then, people, and not here in Taiwan, because everyone I've interviewed with or interacted with has been super polite.
Okay.
But I've seen these exchanges happen in other places where people will say, "That's a very complicated diplomatese." And the diplomat says, "Thank you."
Your husband is also a career foreign office worker. Okay. He's now stationed in Turkey.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, what's the benefit or what's the things that not really good to be a couples, both working for a diplomatic mission?
So, well, I would say the main good thing about it is my husband and I, throughout our married life and our career, we've always known and been able to understand what the other person was doing. If I were married to an optometrist or, an environmental scientist, I think we would have difficulty talking about each other's jobs, right? But my husband and I understand the pressures that we have at work. We understand the successes that the other one has, and that's great. And to be very honest, we've been married for 29 years. We have, except for this assignment and 1 year when he went to Baghdad about 10, 12 years ago, we have always worked in the same city.
Oh, that's great.
So that's great. So the Foreign Service provided for us a wonderful lifestyle, an opportunity to live and work in new and exciting places with each other until we reach the point where we are now, where we've hit the federal nepotism cap.
Oh, there's the cap.
we can't supervise each other.
Okay.
So we can work together in Washington. There are plenty of jobs and there are plenty of bosses. But when you're overseas and one person is the AIT director, the other person is the deputy chief of mission in Ankara, you're at a level where you're unlikely to both be able to work in the same city.
Okay. Do you compare your works?
Yes.
Okay. Which one is harder?
It depends day to day.
My guess is your is tougher.
Thank you very much. I will tell him you said that.
No, I don't want to create a war between you and your husband. Because Taiwan is now a focal point of the war intention. Let's talk about that. First, the arms sales. Okay. Why America is so much engaged in selling arms to Taiwan? Or I should ask the Taiwanese government, why do you want to buy so much? Is the war inevitable? The war with mainland China, that's why we are so rushed in getting so much arms?
So actually, I don't think war is inevitable, but I do think that the best way to deter war or to avoid war is to have a really good self-defense. And having a really good self-defense.
So the United States think we are insufficient in building up our self-defense capability.
I wouldn't say that, but I mean, look at the challenge. So the PRC is very close. It has 1.4 billion people. So, and Taiwan has 24 million people. So there's a size differential that is just an objective fact, right? So Taiwan needs to be flexible and agile. It needs to message deterrence. It needs to message determination. And one way to do that is to have a strong military, to have a well-trained military, a capable military that people are confident in.
The next question is about, we have a presidential election coming next year. It's very crucial. Our major parties have selected their candidates. Okay. Some of the candidates proposed the idea that we should expand our contact with the Chinese official or leaders. So we should even start or seek a new dialogue of them. I expect that you're going to tell me that it doesn't matter who wins the election because the United States always support democracy and freedom in Taiwan. I understand that, but I still want to ask you, do you support the move by candidates to explore the possibility of a conciliation with China to alleviate the tense situation at the moment?
So I am going to say what you expect I'm going to say, which is, I've met all three of the candidates.
Okay, you met all of them?
I've met them all.
Tell me your impression.
I like them all.
Okay.
I've met them all in their former America's capacities. I've been here for 2 years. I've met all of them a number of times. AIT has good working relationships with the Taipei City government, the new Taipei City government, and with the Vice President's office. So we're really familiar with them on a number of issues, not just as meet the candidate, but as sort of know the person and know the job that they've been doing for the last couple years. On the issue of dialogue is good. Dialogue is useful. The United States is seeking more dialogue and engagement with the PRC, and we would certainly not stand in the way of anyone else wanting to do that.
Okay, and United States, either a government or a public official or news reports has been maintaining the willingness to maintain status quo. Okay, so I wonder, does that mean the U.S. would not like to have our leaders or a Chinese leader to have too close contact or interaction?
No, I think when we say status quo, we're not talking about interaction or communication. Communication for communication's sake is a good thing. We're talking about a status quo of sort of peace and stability, a status quo that is not coercive, a status quo that has, over the course of the last 40 or 50 years, enabled peace and prosperity in the PRC, in Taiwan, and in everywhere else in the region.
So you do support our future leaders to have closer contact with the officials in mainland China?
Sure.
Okay.
We are hoping that our leaders have closer contacts.
Okay.
With Beijing.
Do you think that will help to ease the tension?
I hope it will. I hope it will. I think communication and having communication channels it's important. It can be challenging. You need to have a message to communicate. But I have heard all three parties talk about a desire to communicate. They've fashioned it sort of from different angles, but it seems to be a common goal, and it's certainly one that we would support.
So you have sent your government's encouragement to them?
So I'm not going to tell you what we say in private conversations, but in general, communication is good.
Okay. Will the result of this coming election, will that affect the Biden administration's commitment to Taiwan?
No. So I think that it is really, really clear, and it should be clear to every observer, that the United States has a bipartisan. In Congress, we have a bicameral, so both the House and the Senate, level of support for Taiwan that has not wavered as our administrations change or as leadership changes here in Taiwan.
How do you think Taiwan should balance its relations with China and the United States? Tell us the location on this map.
Okay, Taichung is right there. It's kind of right next to our building.
Are we making this too simple for you?
No, you're not making it. I am amazed every day at how skilled and talented the team is. We're going to do our award ceremony this afternoon, and just reading through the award citations, everyone works so hard. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with people. And then Taiwan itself is just amazing.
How do you think Taiwan should balance its relations with China and the United States?
So I think the United States would like to be and views itself as a primary supporter and partner and friend of Taiwan. And I hope that Taiwan views us in the same way. I don't think it is a zero-sum game with the PRC. Obviously, Taiwan needs to chart its own path in its relationship across the straits. It is a geopolitically challenging path to chart, but it's one where the United States will support Taiwan as it makes choices that lead towards communication, that help strengthen the mechanisms that have allowed the world to flourish over the last many decades because of the status quo.
Okay, we have the final dish.
Oh man, look at it. It's so pretty.
Apple tart, pineapple.
Where's the apple from?
America.
Okay.
And the pineapple comes from Taiwan.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is actually like a whole apple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's almost too beautiful
Okay.
to eat. So I think I'm going to have to cut it.
Yeah, you cut the shell,
Oh,
right?
it's very hard. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. All right. Well, I've deconstructed it now.
So I have a map here, and there's 6 pictures. Each represent a landmark building, either a landmark building of a major city or famous tourist attraction. Your mission is, may I? Your mission, what I like to do is tell us the location of each of these pictures, placed showing on these pictures. Tell us the location on this map.
Okay. So the Pingxi Sky Lanterns in
You went there?
New Taipei
Right,
City.
right.
I've been there.
Where? Put it.
It's up here somewhere.
Okay.
This is the Taichung Performing Arts Center.
Exactly right. Where's Taichung?
Taichung is right there. I can even read Taichung. Look at that. Okay, now I have to look at that top picture. Let me see. Is that the Pop Music Center in Kaohsiung?
Correct.
Okay, so that goes down here. It's kind of right next to our building.
Are we making this too simple for you?
No, you're not making it too simple because I've now got the two things. I know that the ships and the bridge are both in southern Taiwan.
I give you a hint.
Okay.
They are both on or close to the eastern coast.
Okay. Okay, so this one we actually just had on the AIT Kaohsiung Instagram page because one of our American staff members and his family visited there. All I know is that it's in southern Taiwan, so I'm just going to stick it.
Actually,
there. Okay.
Here.
Is it Taidong?
Taidong.
Okay.
Sanxiantai.
I am going.
It's giant rocks.
I am going to go to Taidong for the balloon festival.
Oh.
I am so looking forward to
June,
it.
right?
July? Late June, early July. Yes.
Okay.
And the boats, are they Orchid Island?
Orchid.
Okay.
Orchid Island.
Okay.
Lanyu.
I have never been to Lanyu.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Now I know you are so familiar in Taiwan. I guess you are the first director of AIT who can complete this test.
I don't know. I think we have had many previous directors here.
Which part of Taiwan is your favorite?
You know, I like all of Taiwan. But the Pingxi Sky Lanterns was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
I like that too. So, your work here, and I think that the last question or the last part of our interview I want to know is what's the favorite area or favorite scenes that you are being the director here?
Oh man, that's hard. That's like saying which one of your children is your favorite child. I mean, this is. I think actually my favorite part of being the director, this is going to sound really dumb, my favorite part of being the director is being the director. One, it's a professional dream come true. Two, I have a fantastic team. So we have about 600 employees, a third of them are Americans, 2/3 are here from Taiwan. Everyone works really well together. I am amazed every day at how skilled and talented the team is. We're going to do our award ceremony this afternoon, and just reading through the award citations, everyone works so hard. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with people. And then Taiwan itself is just amazing. So being the director is my favorite part of being the director. In about a week or so, I'm going to meet the Fulbrighters. Taiwan has the largest Fulbright program in Asia. It's the State Department's flagship exchange program. It is an honor and a joy to meet the really, really smart scholars and researchers that come at the high end. And they also have a whole bunch of really young, energetic English language associates who come here to Taiwan, and they teach English in elementary schools all over the island. That was where I went, and I met a bunch of 8-year-olds in Penghu who told me that my handwriting was bad. That I needed to try harder.
You want to try some here?
No. I've already been mocked by 3rd graders. That's enough.
You are too busy to improve that skills. But do you welcome more Taiwanese people to go to visit United States?
Absolutely. So we are the visa section is very busy right now with students and with work visas. So for the companies that are investing in the United States, like TSMC and their supply chain companies, most people from Taiwan, if they're just going to go to visit relatives or see Disney World, don't need a visa. So that's great. When I worked here in the 90s, we had these huge lines of visa applicants. We don't have to do that anymore, which is really, really good. And it enables much freer travel. And I think we really are pretty much back to the pre-pandemic levels, which is great.
Okay. I think we are really, after you being here and elaborated so much about the question we have for you, we do appreciate your coming here, and look forward to have even stronger relation between the United States and
I hope so.
Taiwan. And I think part of the credit goes to you. Thank
You're
you.
very polite. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for enjoying our show. And I think I'll keep the potato.
You should keep the potatoes. Can I take my meat home? It's delicious.